So the Blues Breaker pedal came out from Marshall. You excited? Do you have an MX5? Do you not have the money to buy another pedal because you spent all your money on the MX5? Or maybe you'd rather have that nice burger downtown. You just want to put your money towards that. I totally get it. Or maybe you got to buy a present for your mom. Who knows? The point is, you want the Blues Breaker tone, you have the MX5, but you have no idea how to get it. Well, that's what this video is supposed to show you how to do. We're going to run through some sounds that I came up with, getting the Blues Breaker sound out of the Headrush MX5. And before you start screaming in the comments, dadgummit, the MX5 already has a Blues Breaker. It's the JTM 45. What do I need another tutorial for? Well, I'm going to treat the JTM 45 as a pedal. Let's see what it sounds like. Well, I don't know about you, but I thought the sounds that we got out of that was pretty cool. And how I did that, as we were going through that video, I wanted to do a brief run through some of the settings on there. I'll put more settings up for you guys to see in a still form. But essentially what I did was, my clean tone was the Vox amp. And then what I did is I put the JTM 45 amp before the Vox amp. And I treated words is hard, guys. I put the JTM 45 before the Vox, acting as sort of a pedal. And if you notice, the volume is a little bit cranked down a little bit, just so it doesn't overpower the Vox in the Headrush MX5. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking that JTM 45 sound, which is essentially the Blues Breaker sound. And if for those of you who, as you've been doing research, may or may not be aware, that Blues Breaker sound originates from 1962 from a combo amp Marshall created, but then later on made a head unit from that combo unit, and thus was born the JTM 45. And that amp is contained within the Headrush MX5. And those smart folks at Headrush realized we don't need to make a pedal in this unit to get you that Blues Breaker tone. You've already got it in an amp. But if you're someone like me who wants to boost an amp with that Blues Breaker sound, or maybe you like the sound of your own amp and you're just doing the 4-cable method with the Headrush unit, and you want to add that as like a pedal-ish kind of tone thing to add to already your crazy amazing rig arsenal, you can do that. Use the JTM 45 as your Blues Breaker amp, or as your Blues Breaker pedal, so to speak. and you can achieve that sound as we just did. Some of the tones I can take you through real quick, and then we'll end the video. But let me take you through the signal chain real quick. The vibe phaser and the volume and the gate, that's not too terribly important. What I really want you to focus on are those 2 amps, and let's see if we can zoom in on that. Lovely. So on the left, you've got the emulated JTM45, and on the right, you have the Vox AC30. And so what we're doing, if we click on the AC30, gets you a glimpse as to the settings we're using to get that Voxy, clean-ish tone. And again, I'm not using my own cabs. Forgive me. Correction, I'm not using the cabs within the Headrush unit. I'm using the cabs that I'm using in my Torpedo Wall of Sound. I'm using cabinets from that. I'm using a Vox AC30 2x12 cab in there, as well as I'm using some DT75s from a Marshall 4x12, and I'm combining those two in Torpedo Wall of Sound to get the tones I got, as well as mixing around some mics. And I can show you that if you want in another video if you wish. But here we've got the Brilliant volume at 50, treble at 65, normal volumes at 65, and if we come over here to the bass, I've got the bass dialed down a little bit. Bass on a Vox can get pretty boomy, and when you're putting it in a mix, you want to eliminate really just enough bass on your guitar tone so that it's not interfering with the bass guitar, but not so much that your guitar itself doesn't have that oomph that you need. So that's what's going on there. Okay, and let's take you to the JTM45. This is what we did to make it be more like a pedal. Again, I want to emphasize this. This is crucial. The volume, normal volume, is at 36 here. It just depends on how much you want to push it. Now, to my ears, if you go any further past 50%, you're going to really get some weird distortion-y kind of sounds, more like into fuzz tone territory. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like you will lose that blues breaker sound if you try to use the JTM45 as sort of a pedal, and it's going to sound more like an amp going into another amp at that point. So just be careful with the volume. That's really critical. The lower the volume this thing is, the more cleanish tones you're going to get out of the boost. Now, if you take it all the way down to 0, that's another piece that where it won't sound like a pedal anymore. You just won't get any sound, unfortunately. So you got to play with that volume to your ears and figure out what works best for you. For my taste, I found that 36% worked pretty well. High volumes at 50, trebles at 73. I wanted to give more of that high-end, top-end boost. I boosted the mids a little bit too, up at 62. I thought that was good. And again, rolled down the bass a little bit. Actually, I rolled it down quite a bit, down at 33, just because that JTM45 just has so much oomph behind it. And there you go. There's the settings on there, and I'm really pleased with this. This is really an experiment for me because, well, I'll take you back to my face, and we'll talk about it before I end the video. So this part really becomes more of a discussion piece, if you will. You know, all the other pedals out there on the market. You've got the analog Prince of Tone. You've got the JHS Morning Glory. You've got the Wampler Pantheon. I know I'm missing some. There's quite a few actually that emulate that blues breaker tone. Obviously, the Marshall blues breaker pedal itself is very prominent out there, and they just re-released it, which got me thinking about this. But honestly, from my own standpoint, I've been chasing that blues breaker tone anyways. And then when they released those pedals, I thought, let me check those pedals out. And when I did that, doing some research, I realized, oh, it's in the Headrush. It really is. It's just, there you are taking literally that circuit from that amp in the JTM45. And in some cases, replicating it, depending on whose pedal you buy. And on some cases, it's an inspiration of that circuit. And they're placing that in the pedal to get those tones. Headrush does a great job, in my opinion. I thought it sounded great. What did you guys think? Have you ever thought of doing this before, using one of the built-in amps in the Headrush as sort of its own pedal, a take on that circuit, if you will, to do something else with your sounds? Let me know if you guys like the sounds that I was able to get out of it. Any other questions, comments you guys got, just let me know. And as always, keep rocking on. Hope you learned something, as always. And take it easy, everybody. Have a great one.